And so, a day after the WrestleMania 40 presser, and it somewhat played out a little bit how I thought it, could play out, with The Rock having the bloodline tree. I didn't think he would have that. I thought he was going to, in my mind, I would have did a little something different, but it was very similar. I liked it. I liked it a lot. First and foremost, let me just state by saying that I liked it a lot. And being primed for this presser in a previous interview, I believe it was with Pat McAfee, Rock did explain that they were prepared for the hate. So this had been planned months in advance. So they, went through all avenues as to how this was going to go down. So I'm just wondering, at what point did they do the pivot? Was the pivot Friday, or was the pivot, let's kind of get the pivot more in place and then let's test it out on Thursday and to see how, once they go this way, if they don't flip back, then we just go all the way with it. I still stand on what I stood on before, which is that the fans are entitled. Actually, I have two opinions now that I have a little bit more information. But the first one is the fans act entitled. And my brain is everywhere, so I have to pace myself. It's like, basically, you guys are resistant to change. The fans are resistant to change. I remember when LL Cool J did a country album with, I think it was Brian Keith or something like that. I don't know my country artists, trust me. And hip hop fans went crazy. And I think Nelly might have done the same thing. Hip hop fans went crazy. They don't allow you to change. You have to allow for change. It doesn't mean, LL didn't come out and say, I'm from here on in, I'm being country and Western. And, he was just trying something. We have to allow pro wrestling to change. This is what I said previously in the previous app. To see the same thing over and over again, to see another WrestleMania with Cody winning. And quite honestly, I was going to, even in the back of my mind, I was saying, because I was so hot that, you guys did that, I felt did him dirty. It's like, it would have been funny if he just would have went here and just rock bottoms Cody through a table, either at the event or at the presser or whatever. But as you can see, he's flipping heel and is giving me the Trish Stratus run with Becky, which I've freaking enjoyed a lot. I thought that was that whole storyline was storyline and match of the year. That's my opinion. Anyhow, I'm liking, watching this whole play out. I said watching this whole, or did I say watching this whole play out? Watching this all play out sounded very funny. Watching this whole thing play out, if I haven't done it already, I'm going to put up a Triple H post, and it's in relation to the changes. I had asked in the WrestleMania 40 ep where you see Cody and Punk, like, what is this era going to be called? And I'm seeing that, it's going to, it feels like Triple H is going for more realness. And I spoke on the Matt Riddle interview when he discussed the storyline with him and Seth and the direction, how that formulated and came. So it's giving me that vibe. The backstage stuff that happened last night was cool, Yeah, I'm all for going down this adventure. I want to see what direction this thing is going to take. I'm interested, Some people were saying that, Seth in the background kind of looks soft, but no, Seth being there, to me, added more the realism of him standing there and then mouthing off at the end, It just, it just gave you that realism of like, this wasn't in the script. And then when he said, when Hunter said in the back, when people go into business for themselves, it's like, yeah, that really, the authenticity of it, it just really feels there. I wonder what would have happened if this was Stone Cold Steve Austin and Stone Cold had did the same thing, how the fans would have reacted. For some reason, something's telling me, actually, not even, just based off my previous posts, like people just subliminally don't like The Rock. They're fronting, in my opinion. If this was Austin, it'd have been a different thing. But anyhow, on the flip side of that, I heard a buzz that WWE, they might have been planting the seeds. So as far as the people booing and all that, they might have been plants. And that always made me wonder if that was ever possible. Once people started going crazy for Cody's music, and then after that, they started going crazy for Seth's music. Cody never got that affection for his music in AEW, and Jericho was the only person that got that affection. When his music would come on, the fans would sing the song. So I would not be surprised if they're sitting back watching like, man, I wish we had something like that. All it takes is for you to put a plant in there in a couple of the events and they start singing the song and everyone else starts following and that takes off. All you need to do overseas was have that plant when Seth's music kicked on and everybody, and it takes off. Because that's kind of how, that's, in my opinion, what put Seth over, but anyhow, yeah, it's been, rumored that these might have been plants. Everything was just too well timed. How people were getting in signs and things of that nature, but then again, we're not in the Vince era anymore. So maybe you can wear AEW shirts. Who knows? Who knows? I'm all for it. I just want this to be entertaining. Like I said, a few times before, I thought The Rock had missed the boat, and it's kind of obviously missed the boat. But just taking the lemons and making lemonade out of it, it's looking strong. Will we get a tag team thing at the Chamber, or will it end up being a tag team thing at Mania? Who knows? I'm for it. Let's check it out. Will this eventually lead to Roman turning on Rock, and then that will set that up for SummerSlam? Who knows? There was also mention of, does The Rock have time? And to me, with all his business dealings and the stuff that I see him doing, he's he could be considered what's called a nomad millionaire or a nomad worker, which is, the nomad travels. I've watched his IG and you've seen different spots with him. He's on the jet with his laptop and he's writing, he tells you how he wakes up in the morning and this is the third. And he has a nomad lifestyle. That's it. He's a nomad lifestyle. So, with him sitting on the board, him being closer, fully invested to do this, what I'm calling this now, this Trish Stratus type run, why can't he? When you're perfectly, when you have access to a lot of things, you can run your business or your various businesses from one location. So if he's going to be, quietly, I'm not sitting here saying he's going to do a hard body tour, but just the fact that he can do this. He can still be involved in his, the new football. I forgot the name of it, but I just, merger with the XFL. He can still do all these things besides doing movies, which is a whole other episode that I'm going to do. Which I feel is in relation to what we're seeing now. But, besides him doing films, which is he would have to leave and be somewhere else. I could see him doing a small run. Actually, this is a small run that leads up to Mania, testing the waters. He did tell Pat McAfee that he's been running the ropes and he's getting conditioned. And it reminds me of, when we saw Taker in that documentary. So, yeah, I'm for it. There's nothing that I could say about this that cornballed it out. The addition of CM Punk making use of his injury was a good idea. We have to be reminded that he was on that Fox show with WWE with him, Booker T, Saraya, and Moxley's wife, Renee, and Joe. So, he has those skill sets to be an announcer. So, yeah, at this point, I don't see anything wrong. I'm sure, it's not the direction I would have taken. But the way the fans are acting, if this is true hate, they don't give a crap. Because the concept that I was coming up with was if they just, I didn't know how they were going to do this press conference. I thought it was going to be like their media scrum, that they were going to sit in a room and, take questions from the press. But no, they, did it like, live event with fans and things of that nature. So the concept I had was, and on top of that, he did mention that on Pat McAfee's show, what I'm about to say. I knew from watching Young Rock, because I told you I watch everything, that there were ties with Dusty and Rocky Johnson. And Rock was speaking on that, saying in Florida, he and Dusty, they were tagged. They had a tag team down in Florida. And so I thought it would have been great to go down that history. This is if they were doing how I thought, which was like the scrum. Him sitting at the table, with, across from Roman and just explaining the lineage. And he also, in the Pat McAfee thing, he said like they would go to Dusty's house. He remembers Cody as a kid, all this stuff. So he was hanging out with him. So, just my dad, his dad, were in the business together, yada, yada, yada. And it would allude to Maivia, how Rocky Johnson was supposed to be considered for the head of the table. Then Rocky Johnson passed away. Hold on. Sorry about that. The alarm went off. I'm not sure if you heard that. How Rocky Johnson passed away. And the head of the table, this is a story that I just came up with. And the head of the table was supposed to go to Rock. And somehow this cat just pops up running his mouth about this and this. And I'm sitting at home watching this. And, I had a couple of films I had to do. And I was like, when this is done, I get some freed up time. I'm going to straighten this all out. And the TKO business dealings fell into my lap. And this was the perfect opportunity to set this up. And could have gone that way. But, watching what I'm watching. And like I said, if the fans are really authentic and they're not plants, they wouldn't have given a ish. So, I personally still think that they're ruining it. I love the thing when he showed the tree. And if you look at the tree, he does have the title of High Chief. If you look at the presser again, you will see it. So, and a lot of names listed. Tamina's on it. Fanene's on it, which is Naya. Lance, which is the younger brother of the Usos. I also heard that Jacob was on it, but I didn't see I didn't see him as Jacob Fatu. So Trin is on it. Of course, the Usos are on it. So, I just wish that the fans didn't F it up and just went down the rabbit hole with this, because with him dropping the tree and everything, this could have been cool. But hey, they had the plan B, and let's just go with the plan B. I'm all for it. It's something different. And, I just hope it all works out. If it leads into SummerSlam somehow and they're able to milk a few more months, even cooler. So with that said, there's nothing else that I want to add on. There's nothing that I think that went bad. I mean, outside of, side note, outside of Becky and Rhea, which I already said I didn't want to see. But, yeah, that's it. All right, I'm out.